I've got some good news that I want to share with you today. I want to let you know that 3-year transition funding agreements have been signed with 4 more tracks. So Western Fair, Clinton, Hanover, and right here, Grand River. So those are agreements that are on top of agreements with Woodbine and Mohawk. And we're expecting that more will come in the weeks to come. The negotiations are still ongoing, and I'm looking forward to more agreements. So we're working to ensure that the dates for the 2013 racing season will be in place and provide long-term stability to the industry, because those are the 2 questions that have been floating. Is there going to be a season this year? And what's the long-term viability of the industry? So that's the course that we're on right now. And I believe that we're making really good progress to a sustainable horse racing sector. So I want to just talk about, finally, the third part of this is that the overall modernization of the administration of horse racing. One of the key recommendations of the panel was to integrate horse racing with the provincial gaming strategy. And I am committing to the sector that we're going to work to make that happen, because it has been made clear to me, and I absolutely accept that it makes more sense for us to integrate these 2 endeavors, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to ensure that racetracks will have access to revenue from new and different gaming opportunities. That was another recommendation of the task force, of the transition panel, in order to be able to have that sustainable future. So I remain committed to making those changes, to implementing those changes. We have been and we will continue to work in consultation with the industry partners for the long-term good of the industry. And as I said to the folks outside, and I want to thank Ted. Where's Ted? I want to thank Ted for allowing us to be here and introducing me to some of the folks who work here. There's a full range of jobs that is supported by this industry, and I understand that, and that's why Minister McMeekin set up the transition panel, because we recognized that we really needed to take a look at the decision that had been made, and we needed to make sure that there weren't enormous unintended consequences of a decision that was made last year. So I'm committing that the dollars will be available to continue the negotiations. Can't talk about specific amounts at this point because those negotiations are going on. But as I say, the discussions around those agreements are ongoing. So the good news is we've got 6 agreements in place, and we'll continue over the next few weeks to conclude other agreements. I think what we need to do now is we need to say, okay, what is in the best interest of the industry? How do we make sure we protect the animals? How do we make sure that we protect jobs? And how do we make sure that we have a viable industry for the people who want to take part in that industry, who want to enjoy it? So it's about the jobs, it's about tourism, it's about the vibrant industry that has been in this province evolving to a place where it can be sustainable. And we know as government we've got a role to play in that. We need a horse racing industry, and we need, obviously, strong healthcare and education. Those are huge priorities. So I'm going to ask my panel members. John?
Great.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Mike. I think if you remember when the final report was when the final report was released, the work of Elmer and John and I, we said, what is in the public interest versus what was going on? Going forward, our advice, our consensus advice, is that any new arrangement had to be accountable, had to be transparent, that the industry had to be focused on the customer, and that any money from the government going to the industry would be returned plus more by way of taxes, because this industry generates HST and income taxes back to the government. So we said that's the way that you look at it from a good public policy. That was not the case under the old system, which is why we agreed that it needed to be reformed, but it's exactly why under this new arrangement you will have a relationship between the government and the industry which is accountable, which is transparent, which is based not on slot machines but on the customer for the horse racing industry, and as well that it'll provide for Minister Sousa a positive rate of return, and that's what's good for taxpayers.
So to be clear, in our report, we recommended to the government a couple of things. One is that the government needed to do a negotiation, a full open book discussion with the tracts. I think the tracts present here today will tell you that was a very robust conversation. I think that's how they would describe it. So that we could get a better description, a better handle on the costs in this industry. Frankly, 6 months or 8 months ago, there really wasn't a good basis of data on which to build a good and prosperous industry in Ontario, and we're putting together those numbers now. We also recommended to the government that none of the financial recommendations that we made be made public until those negotiations were complete, for obvious reasons that aggregate number would prejudice those conversations. They're ongoing now. You mentioned Flamborough with the Great Canadian Gaming folks. We met with them as early as a few days ago, so that conversation's ongoing. And to release the aggregate numbers in advance of the successful completion of all of those agreements, I think would prejudice the taxpayers and the government of Ontario. So that was our recommendation. The government's following through on
But
it.
I just want to say thank you, John. I just want to say that I am confident that we are going to be able to complete those negotiations.